In a society, it's not enough to be non-racist. We must be anti-racist. It it has some impacts on slaveries, and it is just racial discriminations, and it really does just affect the education and employment of colored people. There's long-lasting effects of slavery. There's Jim Crow laws, evolution of racial privilege. It's in our world. In the article Jim Crow 2024, it states that slavery has resulted in intergenerational trauma with also resulting in mental health. Did you know that? Also, in Jim Crow segregation article, it says, did you know that U.S. enforced racial segregation from late 19th century until mid 20th century? Wow. And then the historical context of racial privilege and the slavery. There is advantages that white fellow people take advantage of other race and they're unaware of it. In the article U.S. Census Barrier in 2020, the wealth of white housing is approximately 7.8 times greater than white housing, highlights the long-term effects of the historical injustice. There's inequalities in our institutions, in schools, and everywhere. There's policies and practices that preserve racism. It is important to raise awareness about race privilege in our society. There's inequalities in health, education, and crime justice. The colleges are being affected by this. In the article of Education Impacts Young Black Lives, Beverly Daniels in 2028 article reports that schools of white districts receive 23 billion more funding than those that are in non-white districts and colleges. The difference between fundraising a black college and a non-one is that the funding of the schools are different. It's more of school fundings are more based on neighborhood demographics on the African Americans. African Americans lack advantage placement courses in college, and they are said to be more incarcerated rates for the African Americans. In the new Jim Crow law in 2024, it says that it states Black Americans are incarcerated at more than 5 times the rate of white people. We need to address racial privilege. But did you know that also in the journal Psychology Science in 2016 found that people like you are more likely to associate Black people with criminal activities. It is important to you to understand your own rights. You need to reflect on yourself. What have you said? What have you done? Think about what you have thought in your lives. Do you associate Black color with criminal activities? Until you acknowledge and address reality in racial privilege, we cannot create a society where justice is truly. It's by Angela Davis.
What are the evolutions of racial privilege in modern society?
I would say there are some American people that think they are better than other African Americans, and they try to take advantage of it, cutting in line or other stuff.
Can you give me evidence on what advantage do some race have that they aren't aware of?
I would say black people think they don't really have much privileges, but you gotta remember they are humans just like you and I, and they probably think they don't have any privileges, but they do. Privileges, they can also drive, they can do anything.
Do you think that being anti-racist is hard to achieve?
No, I don't think it is hard for somebody to achieve being anti-racist. It is a practice that you need to do every single day.
Do you think that people who make racist jokes to each other should stop even if they're okay with it?
Yes, because if you're making jokes in between just you and your friend, you gotta remember there's other people around you that can hear you and they get offended. Because how is somebody like your color gonna joke around with the N-word and another African American sees that or hears that? But no, you're just joking with your friend. That's unacceptable.
Okay. What are your own privileges that you can take towards promoting racial equity?
I would say the practice of being anti-racist on my day-to-day life. So stepping in when I see something wrongful.
Okay.